Hey guys, I'm back with the last part of the tips on what I do as an Etsy power seller, which I don't like that phrase, but whatever. Um, it's Etsy's my primary source of income. You guys know that if you know me. If you're watching this for the first time, feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell because you'll be notified when I put new Etsy videos up. I am going to be doing some Etsy success stories videos with some Etsy sellers from my eShop success program. And we'll be talking to them about how they've increased their sales on Etsy, how to get sales on Etsy, that kind of thing. Just any tips that they have in order to kind of increase your Etsy business. So if you're wondering, is Etsy worth it? Yes, I think it is, but you have to really be your own boss. And if you're not willing to do the work, it's not going to be worth it because you're not going to get the return out of it that you might. However, if you're willing to put the work in, you too could be an Etsy success story and you could definitely make a living on Etsy. And if you don't want to make a living on Etsy, just a good part-time income. That's all. All right. So we talked about fixing your routine. We talked about scaling your materials and, streamlining your production and that kind of thing. The last part of this I'm going to talk about is scaling your branding and kind of streamlining your social media. And that there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that. So it's not something that you can put in a 20-minute YouTube or 10-minute. I don't know how long this is going to be, but it's not something I can put in one YouTube video. That's a little silly. I mean, some people really go all in on the branding and you want everything to look perfect before you start your shop and the whole thing. And branding is not just your logo. It's not just your colors. It's not just your font. Okay. And people get stuck on those types of details. I think a lot of it is that when you're stuck on those details, you don't really have to start selling things. You're still in the planning phase. I'm planning. I'm getting it ready. Okay. That's procrastination. And somebody referred to that as procrastiplanning, which I think is perfect because you can get so involved in the tiny minutia and the details that really overall don't matter 100% to whether you're going to be successful or not, that you just put off making the big decision of hitting that open shop button. Okay. When you hit the open shop button, now you're in business. When you're planning your colors, you're not in business yet. It's just something that you're doing. So don't get so stuck on the fonts and the colors and that kind of thing. Your branding is much larger than that. The brand is kind of the mood and the feeling that you want people to get when they think of your business. If you want to scale your branding up and you want people to think of your business as more of an upscale thing, you need to present that as an upscale thing. So if you've been working with dollar store materials, okay, you need to graduate to nicer paper. And there was a photographer when I first started doing wedding cakes years and years and years ago. And the one piece of advice that I remember to this day is she said, always use the best quality paper that you can afford because that's what represents your business. Okay. And you know the difference when someone hands you a business card that's a nice heavyweight paper, as opposed to someone handing you one of those business cards that's the ones that you print yourself on your laser printer at home. And it's got the lines on it because your printer isn't that great. And it's got the little perforations on the side because you tore it off the page. That's a qualitative difference. And you need to present your business in the best light that you can if you want to be successful at this and make it a full-time thing. So always invest in the best paper that you can afford from the beginning. And if you have to buy just 20 business cards at once because that's all you can afford, then do that if it's going to make a difference in the paper quality. Okay. It's people think that it doesn't matter, but it really does. And think about when you open a package that has tissue paper in it. If you're just starting out and you are really cost conscious, that's perfectly fine to go to the dollar store. It doesn't have to be super expensive paper. But when you get to a point where you really want to scale up and you want to start increasing your profits, you have to invest a little bit in the heavier tissue paper and the nicer header tags and the nicer stickers. It makes a difference. All right. So once you get to that point, scale your branding up. Your packaging supplies need to reflect what you want people to feel about your business, and paper quality matters. All right. The next thing that goes along with this is that you want to start doing branded labels if you haven't already. This for you, like mentally, this will make you feel more professional just to have stickers and header tags. And when I'm saying header tags, it's these. Just a sec. Okay. Okay, this is a header tag. Look how bright that is. And this, like, you fold it over and then you put it on top of the little bag and you staple it. Okay, but when I started out, I was just using green paper because that's my color. I like the color. And I was folding it, but then I got these printed and this looks, and I think my husband said that looks very professional. Okay. And yeah, I had been selling professionally for quite a while before I got those, but it makes a big difference. And it makes a difference to your customers when they open the package and they see that. It makes a difference to you when you look at your product and it looks professional. And it makes a difference. So when you start doing branded labels and that kind of thing, just make sure that you're doing that consistently. And that's something that even a beginning Etsy seller should be doing. And like I said, if you have to buy it in smaller quantities, that's fine. So not that a beginning Etsy seller shouldn't be doing this, but if you are really starting to scale your business up, you need to make sure that all your branding is in place and you're carrying it consistently across social media so that people can find you and they recognize you. And you need to be consistent with that and make sure that everything represents your business the way that you want it to. All right. And speaking of social media, the next part of this is scheduling your, like, streamlining and scheduling your social media and your marketing. That's another thing that you're going to have to start doing if you haven't been doing it already. And, generally, if you're growing your Etsy business or your online shop, your website, or wherever you have your products, you probably have been doing social media. And when you get to the point of being full time and earning a decent profit, it's probably something that is going to be taking more time than you might have. So I use a scheduler because I can go in and schedule my social media and be done with it for the year. Honestly, I've got some platforms I've scheduled for a year with the basics, and then I can go in and add a post here and there and kind of fill it in. But a scheduler will help save you a lot of time. Batching, like if you can sit down and do your entire Pinterest and just save a whole bunch of Pinterest stuff, it's the kind of thing where the more you can do one thing at a time, and I talked about this at the beginning of this series, one thing at a time becomes more efficient, and in your brain it becomes more automatic, and you don't have to get off task as easily. You'll be more productive. Okay. Another thing that I don't think people understand that they can do, which it's a very good thing to do, is to reuse content. So, for example, you can take your listing photos, and I've said this a million times, so you probably heard me say this. Use your listing photos. How many people say, I don't have anything to post on social media? You've got so many photos that you've done for your listings. Every single one of those could be a social media post, and some might be more appropriate to certain platforms, but you've got a whole lot of content. Even if you don't have a blog, you don't have a YouTube channel, it doesn't matter. You can find other things to post from the things that you've already done in your listings. And if you can take one Instagram post and post that to Facebook automatically, you've now done 2 social media platforms. If you take that same picture and use it as a Pinterest pin, now you've got Pinterest taken care of. And now Pinterest has these story pins they're rolling out. I'm not sure where that's going, or like if everybody's going to have it. But that's the kind of thing where I've just been using listing photos and doing story pins, and it's really increased my traffic. So reuse your content as much as you can. That's going to streamline your social media. Use schedulers. Just all of this stuff are things that you can do to easily reduce the time that you have to spend on this. And you really can get a whole day's worth, or like a whole month's worth of social media scheduled in a day or a few hours if you're super efficient. I wouldn't plan on that. I would take a whole day and do it, and then you'll have some time left over. But, like, for example, this last 5 series of videos I've done in 2 hours. I've been sitting here for the last couple of hours recording all these videos, and I'm batching them. And it's just a good way to get things done. So think of all this stuff. And when you get to the point of having, like you're like, okay, I want to quit my day job, but I don't know if I can handle all this. You can, and sometimes you can hire people to do it. You can hire a virtual assistant. If you don't want to do your social media, you can have somebody do it for you. And, leave a comment. Have you ever used a VA? Have you hired someone off of Fiverr to do a logo? Have you hired someone to do your SEO? I wouldn't recommend that. But have you? If you've hired someone to do something, post a comment and let us know. And how did it go? I mean, did it save you time? Do you do this on an ongoing basis? Was it a disaster? Let us know, because I'd be interested in hearing some of that. Okay, so for the next part of this, I'm going to be talking to some Etsy sellers from my eShop Success program, talking about their Etsy success stories. And, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily making $1 million, but I want to talk to them about what they feel like successful Etsy shops do and how they define that success. All right, so subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was helpful, and invite a friend to come and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that. And I do lives every week here on Tuesdays. And, actually, I'm about to go do one right now. So if you guys see me in this shirt, it was right after I made these videos. Okay. So I will talk to you guys later, and definitely come over and join the Facebook group, because it's a good conversation always in there. I'll talk to you later.